Hey, everybody, and welcome in. It's the Poor Man Fantasy Football League podcast. We're the fantasy football show that gives you a peek inside the life and times of our Dynasty League. I'm your host, Mike, and with me, as always, is my friend Andrew. And this week, what we're going to be doing is a unnecessary rookie mock draft. Our rookie draft is over. Most rookie drafts are over, but we wanted to see what it would look like if we drafted from different positions. So today is Wednesday, May 22nd. Andrew, how you doing?
Good. I'm excited to see where this goes because they're gonna get the 101.
Yeah. Okay. So, little backstory. Uh, we jumped in. We took teams. I randomized it 5 times. Andrew ended up with the number one pick 3 out of those 5 times. Ended up with the 101. I have the 109. It is 10-team half-point PPR dynasty, single quarterback, no tight end premium. Just it mimics our Poor Man Fantasy Football League scoring format. It is going to go 8 rounds, but we're only going to talk about the first 5. Really, because there's only 5 rounds of rookies that we're going to talk about. This is rookie only, by the way.
Yep.
We're going to let the computer draft around us. So we'll highlight what they did, and then we're going to react and talk about our selections at that time. Now, we're drafting in a void. We don't have a team. We don't know what our team needs are. We're just looking at the scenario of who I would take and why I would take them. Maybe talk about some of the considerations at the position. But this is kind of our hot take. All right.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any news, right? It's still shorts and t-shirts for most of these rookies at training camp. There was some smoke about Justin Jefferson being outside the New York Jets facility.
Yeah.
Video to support it.
Yeah, but I think that maybe he lives in New York.
Maybe. It's just
it's fodder for the news guys.
It's clickbait.
Yeah.
Yep. Really, don't pay attention.
You gotta get the Illuminati. Got to get Aaron Rodgers in there somewhere, right?
Okay. Tangent. You brought up Illuminati. I'm going on a tangent now. There is a Netflix show which I found extremely humorous. It's adult, so it's not for kids. The language content alone is just not for kids. And I'm trying to remember what it's called now. It's you know what? I'm just going to pull it up. The whole premise of the show is you've got the Illuminati, the deep state, the conspiracy theory people. They're all battling it out for control of planet Earth.
Oh,
and it's an absolute satire of what people think and of how the world is run. I'm trying to think. What is the name of that silly show? Continue watching. Where is it?
Did you watch the whole thing, or is it?
Oh, I watched the entire series. Yeah, the series. It came out, I think, maybe last year, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious.
So, question then for this show: did they talk about the Freemasons and what were those the Christian Crusader guys,
the
Knights Templars and stuff?
Yep.
So did they talk about Oak Island?
No, I don't think that came out specifically.
Because have you ever heard of that show, The Curse of Oak Island?
Wasn't there like a treasure or something on there that nobody could ever find?
Yeah, they're still looking for it. There's 2 brothers out of Michigan that have bought up 90% of the island, and are digging the hell out of the island for the thing. Supposedly, the Ark of the Covenant is there.
Oh,
and the chalice that Jesus drank out of is supposedly there. Yeah, the Holy Grail is supposedly there, and it was all brought over by the Templars. But they're finding stuff on this island from ancient Chinese artifacts and coins from the Spanish Inquisitions, and they're finding stuff like
things
this
that
crazy.
Be there.
Exactly.
Okay, the show is called The Inside Job.
The Inside Job. Okay.
Yeah, The Inside Job, and there's 2 major powers, right? So in this case the deep state, which is you follow this crew of the deep state, and then there's the Illuminati, which is kind of like the number 1, and then there's the Catholic Church is ranked top 5, and there's a bunch of other organizations that are all trying to influence the world. There are the lizard people, that are a thing.
Oh,
It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious because it takes every conspiracy theory, every trope you can think of, and then mashes it together in a satirical comedy. And I find it quite funny. So whenever I hear people talk about like the Illuminati, the Freemasons, my mind immediately goes to the show,
to that show.
and it's like it's amazing how much we as people create the mythos around these organizations, right?
Yes.
And not knowing exactly what they are. Maybe they are these things. I don't know. But the show is quite funny. So Inside Job, Netflix, enjoy it.
Interesting. I'll
And
have to check it out.
That's the end of the tangent. Let's go back to football. So football is slowly coming. We're enjoying nothing really, right? Like it's the it's the quiet period. I'm not even watching that fake football, the USFL, right?
I thought it was already done.
I don't know. Maybe it is. That's how much I've been like. I have know nothing about it. Completely out of tune. So I've been thinking now that we're done all of our drafts. We just finished our No Fun League draft, and thank you guys. Kudos to you if you're listening. You guys rocked it. You stayed consistently on top of it. There was a couple lags in selections, but for the most part, relatively quick because we just started the draft and the draft is now over. A couple days later, love it. But now comes the time to continue to hunt your waivers. I've got some rookies on my rosters. Some of them I've dumped. Some of them I've picked up. New guys, right? The new hotness, the guys that are getting some hype. So I was like, all right, just keep cycling through and see what comes up. How about you?
I think more of that will come up once camps actually hit and guys start to get cut and guys move up the depth chart because they have impressed in camp and stuff. And again, a lot of it will be smoke, like you said. Mm-hmm. Somebody's having such an awesome camp, and then everybody will rush and go out and try and grab the guy, and then he's still the ninth string wide receiver come the end of the camp.
Or he's the running back that doesn't make the roster, but is completely stealing everybody's hearts right now. So I'm going to give you an example. This kid named Blake Watson, running back, undrafted signee to the Denver Broncos. He signed, I don't know, whatever. But there's no, I think where the excitement is this kid had limited production at Memphis. Yeah, Memphis. And he's got to compete with Javonte Williams, Jaleel McLaughlin, Samaje Perine, 5th-round rookie draft, Audric Esteem, Michael Burton, Tyler Batty, and then himself, right? Blake Watson.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. This kid is currently sitting at plus 16,347 ads. He's rostered in 31% of leagues, and people are getting excited, right? So he's the new hotness. And I think I could be wrong, but I think because he's at the top of the trending chart, people are picking him up. They're making room. They're taking a shot. See what happens. He's the current hotness. There's this kid named Monty Bailey, running back for Kansas City. Has got absolutely no news. Nothing. Zero. Not a peep mentioned about him anywhere. But he's currently number 3 on that list of being added. He's a little guy, too.
I think, personally, where some of this comes from is you look at the depth chart for the teams. Mm-hmm. Right? Like you go back to Denver, it's going to be the hot hand that's going to take that number 1 role.
Yeah.
It could be one of the rookies ends up as the starter. I doubt it, but could.
I think Javonte Williams is still going to be the de facto one until he proves he's not.
Or until somebody steals it from him.
Okay, right. And we saw Jaleel McLaughlin play well last year.
Yes.
But, again, we'll see.
Yeah. But I think that's where you get a little bit of hype or a little bit of momentum with that train. Oh, maybe this rookie can take the job. Maybe the rookie can, and then everybody scrambles. Yeah. And the kid climbs like crazy up the charts. And you're right. At the end of the camp, he's still going to be a special teams guy or practice squad. But yes, you'll see guys that'll climb and fall on the chart between now and September like crazy. But if you go back to a very solid roster, like you might not see a wide receiver for Cincinnati I'm in the charts because really, are they going to supplant Jamar Chase? No.
Or T. Higgins, who hasn't
or T. Higgins
hasn't signed his
his deal, but
Signed his
it's
deal
still.
yet.
But is a rookie going to supplant those two guys? No. Miami's the same situation. Is a wide receiver going to go in and take over Tyreek Hill's job? Not going to happen. So you probably won't see a guy there. But again, on a weaker roster, you might see the guys climb up and move down and then climb up again and move down based on, it could be this week's practice, he does really good. Next week practice, he has garbage.
Okay, question for you. You just brought up weak wide receiver rosters, and I want to bring up my Lions. Okay, right here. Amon St. Brown locked in number 1, no question. Jameson Williams still yet to prove the first round selection pick. Okay. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Those are the two names as the next wide receiver 1 and 2, or 2 and 3. As a Lions fan, I know that Sam Laporta is probably gonna be something super relevant this year as a result. But if you're looking at that roster, they didn't draft anybody. They haven't signed anybody. So they're going into the season as of right now with Jameson Williams as 2, Donovan Peoples-Jones as 3.
But I would actually go Laporta as the 2, and the other 2 guys as 3 and 4.
Right. But when you're looking at the wide receiver depth, Sam Laporta is going to be on the field a lot. They're going to be 2 wide receiver sets, which means it's going to be Amon St. Brown and Jameson Williams. Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to get on the field.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, they used Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds had some relevancy, but he's gone. Right?
Yeah.
Jameson Williams is now that number 2, air quotes, right? Because really, I think it's Sam Laporta. But it's curious because in this case, there's no wide receiver there to go and chase. There's no rookie that you could kind of see. I think as much as we love Donovan Peoples-Jones, being a former Wolverine, we know what he is in the league.
Yeah,
somebody could come and take that job from him.
Yeah. You know what? He's a solid third wide receiver 3.
Okay, yeah.
That's as far as I think he's gonna, as high as he's gonna climb. So you're right. Maybe not this year, but probably next year, they're gonna have to go out and get a wide receiver to replace him. How their running back? What's his hands like for third down catching?
David Montgomery wasn't prolific at it, but he's good. Jahmyr Gibbs, good. Even this new kid, Vadi, I don't know. The new kid.
And maybe that's what they're banking on is, okay, now on third downs, that's another guy that can throw the ball into the flats to. And why do we need to go out and invest in something else?
Put both running backs on the field and let's see what happens. Ben Johnson is pretty creative, so
that would you know what? That would be really interesting. Having the 2 running backs as catching backs. And now you've got 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 running backs all out there catching.
I don't think they could do that. I don't think there's a personnel they could assemble. I think they'd have to get 2 wide receivers, the tight end as a lineman.
Yeah, and that's too many
running backs, right? Okay, so you're it's an interesting formation. It doesn't happen very often. You don't usually see 2 running backs unless one's
unless one's gone out into the slot.
Yeah, right. Unless one's slid out the outside. So, anyways, I'm just saying there are some rosters out there where there's an opportunity for some of these deeper rookie wide receivers to have a shot. Right, that's where you're grabbing some of these players to see what they can do.
Yep. Oh, for sure.
And you know what? We're probably going to highlight a couple of those when we do this draft. So
well, and that's where you find your diamonds in earth like Puka Nacua, right? No one thought in the 5th round last year he was going to be the superstar that he turned out to be.
Right.
So,
okay.
You ready to get into some picks?
Yeah. I just shared. Those who are listening at home, they're not watching. I have now shared the screen. So it's 10 teams. Excellent. I'm sitting at number 9. Andrew, you're sitting at number 1. I'm going to start this draft right now. And boop. Okay. Are you sure? Yeah, let's do it. You're on the clock. Sorry, that's the audio from the chat.
Yeah, no. Do I pick or do I tell you and you pick?
You're on the clock, buddy.
Oh, okay. Well, this is an easy slam dunk one.
Yeah, well, I agree. Your first selection should be pretty easy. There's no comparison. You're not choosing between. It's just make the selection so the rest of us can go. Do you want me to do this for you?
Uh,
Make it faster?
I clicked it, but
There you go.
there we go.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, the cat. It's crazy. And to be honest with you, it's atypical.
But
This is
Malik
kind of
Neighbors
what we
didn't
see.
go?
He did. Yeah, he went 2. So you selected Marvin
Oh,
Harrison.
see,
1.
my computer is lagging.
That's because you're on Wi-Fi, my friend. You got to go hardwired.
Yes. Well, I'll have to tell you my picks going forward now to make things go quicker.
So here we go. Malik Neighbors went number 2. Roma Dunze. Brock Bowers, which I think at this stage, at this time of year, is a bit of a stretch because for the most part, Brock Bowers, what we've seen, he's gone pick 6, 7, 8 in that range, not number 4. Xavier Worthy seems to be jumping up pretty high.
Yes.
Caleb Williams tends to go at the back of the first round, if not early second. So in this case, ADP got the best of team number 5 as he took Caleb Williams, which pushes down, I think, Xavier Worthy to team 6, like the selection, although he's suffering hamstring issues. Do you see that?
No,
Xavier
I haven't.
Worthy is out for the rest of spring training camp with a hamstring issue.
Let him rest.
Speedsters, man.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas goes at pick number 7. Jonathan Brooks goes at pick number 8. I hate the selection because I want the selection to go to the end of the round. And he never makes it there. He never does anymore. I think people are just they're reaching and they're building it up. And I don't think it's a bad choice. I just wish that me and my late round selections get my hands on Jonathan Brooks.
He's a prime candidate for what we just talked about.
Yep.
A weaker Carolina backfield that he can go steal the job. And that's probably why guys are hyping on him.
I don't think he has to steal the job. I think the job is his. It's just a matter of time to when his body can take the job.
Yeah.
I think he's just, okay, well, when you're healthy, it's your job, right? Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders will just fill in for you until you can take it.
Yeah.
So now I'm on the clock. Here's who the next 5 picks projected are. Ladd McConkey, Keon Coleman, Jaden Daniels, Trey Benson, Xavier Legette. Now, for me, when I'm looking at taking from a best player perspective, regardless of what my team need is, if I'm going best player, I want someone that I can probably put into my lineup sooner than later. So to me, that eliminates Trey Benson. Trey Benson's probably not going to crack the lineup right away, if not latter part of the year. You know, injury might speed that up, but I'm thinking he's probably a year 2 kind of guy. So I'll wait till the second round for him. And I don't think Xavier Legette is a first round candidate for me. And I don't think Jaden Daniels in a 1 quarterback league is worth it. I wouldn't draft Jaden Daniels until the back of the second round, early of the third. Personal preference. I know he'll go well before that because the computer is also drafting.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to Ladd McConkey and Keon Coleman. Now, when I look at Ladd McConkey, he's 6 foot, 185 pounds, out of Georgia. Selected in the first round. Justin Herbert is his QB. Not a lot of competition. Probably going to get a lot of opportunity. But then, Keon Coleman selected just outside, like the first pick of the second round. So almost a first round selection. He's 6'4", 215, Florida State. Okay. Comes from a good place. And Josh Allen is his quarterback. To be honest with you, I'm really torn between these 2 selections and the possibility, because I think out of the gate, both of these guys are going to get great opportunity to hit the field and be included right from the get-go. But I actually, honestly, I've been able to snag Keon Coleman at the front end of the second round. So I have many shares of him on other leagues where Ladd McConkey typically never makes it out of the first round. So that's the selection I'm going to make because I don't have many shares. Now, the next pick was Keon Coleman. He's gone. We're at the 201 because we're doing a rookie draft. You have the 201, Andrew. You're back on the clock.
Oh.
Jaden Daniels, Trey Benson, Xavier Legette, Ricky Pearsall, Adonai Mitchell. What are you thinking here?
I can't I'm thinking the same types of things that you were thinking. Like, again, is Benson going to be a starter? No. Is Legette going to be the top guy there in Carolina? Probably not year one. Pearsall, again, not going to be the top guy for a couple of years. Does Mitchell have the opportunity to become the number 2 in Indianapolis?
Yep.
Quite possibly. He could be that 10 to 12 point guy for you.
Could.
So depending on your team, depending on how you're, again, because we don't have a team behind us,
right?
Depending on what your needs were, like right now of the next 5 guys, for me, the top production guy is going to be Mitchell, in my opinion.
You think that you think Adonai Mitchell is going to be?
Yeah, because the others aren't going to get a chance to. Other than Jaden Daniels, the other 3 aren't going to be the 1 or the 2 on any of their teams
right away. Xavier Legette, you don't think he has a chance of moving up the depth chart with DJ Moore and Adam Thielen?
That's going to be a tough one for him. Year one, that'll be a tough one for him. Maybe the second half of the year, but it'll take him a while to get there.
Okay. Oh, so you take Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah.
Then we got. There we go. Oh wow!
Wow.
That is crazy. Okay, I feel really good about how this worked out. Mainly because the computers are stupid. And I say that because here all of the quarterbacks went in the second round here. So Jaden Daniels, you took Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels goes second. Xavier Legette goes third. Trey Benson, which I think 204, perfect. I'd love to grab him in that range. Ricky Pearsall, 205, great selection. Blake Corum, 206.
Jumps up. That surprised me. I was expecting him more the 210 or the 301.
Yeah, again, agreed. Because Kyron Williams, even though he has a foot injury and is also missing the rest of spring training camp, Blake Corum is maybe the 1B, if not the number 2 guy on his team, and he's a solid handcuff. So to me, it's like, man, spending the 206, spending a solid second round selection on this guy, as much as we love him as Wolverine, he's got talent. He's got to work his way into that system.
Yeah.
Right after him is another Wolverine and JJ McCarthy, 207. JJ McCarthy went. Then Drake May went at 208.
So here's the thing with these 4 quarterbacks, they're probably all going to be the starters on their teams. Guaranteed. Whether they're going to produce lots, it's hard to say.
Yep.
I think the bottom of the four is probably for production this year is going to be McCarthy. Or May. Kind of a toss up between the 2. I think Williams will do a little bit better and Daniels will do a little bit better than May and McCarthy. But all 4 will start. So if you were in need of a starting quarterback, then go out and grab.
Sure, you go for it. I have a hard time taking a quarterback in the second round. Now, Caleb Williams was sitting somewhere in the second round. Sure. Right? He went 101, supposed to be prolific. I'd invest a mid to late round second pick on him.
Yeah.
But, my goodness.
But again, the computer may be looking at from the standpoint of these guys are going to start.
Yeah, no, the computer's looking at ADP, right? They're just following what consensus of people are doing. And then
I guess.
Right. All right, so here's what's sitting here. And I'm really excited because there's actually some attractive talent sitting right here. Now, Troy Franklin, even though he was drafted later, he's climbed up this draft board dramatically, which I think is absolutely crazy because he went 102. And he's ADP-wise ahead of Roman Wilson, who went in the 3rd round. I'm trying to see what selection he went. 84th. He went 84th. So almost 20 selections in between them, and Troy Franklin's higher above. Even crazier still, Jalen Polk selected number 37. So nearly
Yeah.
70 picks ahead of Troy Franklin, but people are taking Troy Franklin instead of Jalen Polk.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we've got running back Jalen Wright, running back Marshawn Lloyd, which, by the way, is getting all of the A.J. Dillon hype from a few years ago. Pictures of Marshawn Lloyd are showing up online, and the kid is massive. He's jacked, right? He looks like an absolute beast. But I remember when AJ Dillon was showing up, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, AJ Dillon's quads are like tree trunks. He's crazy. Look how big he is." And that didn't work out the way people thought. So, best player here, based upon my previous, I got Ladd McConkey. I don't think it's worthwhile to grab one of these running backs because I think the wide receivers have a better shot. The three in mind that I would go for are Troy Franklin, Roman Wilson, and Jalen Polk. However, I'm going Roman Wilson here.
See, and that one for me is a little bit. That's a tough one to. Is he going to be the 3 or the 2 in Pittsburgh?
I think he'll be the 2, and I think that'll be a valuable 2 selection. Troy Franklin was taken in the 4th round for a reason. I like him. I like pairing him. The fact that he's with his college quarterback, Bo Nix. There's some good possibilities there. I think it's almost a travesty that Jalen Polk is being completely ignored at this scenario. I went Roman Wilson for the upside. I know what the kid can do. I know what he's capable of. We watched him perform as Wolverines fans, right? There we go. The kid's amazing, and George Pickens is fantastic. I don't know how the quarterback situation is going to play out there.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing.
Okay, they're going to need talent to throw to. I think Roman Wilson steals that number 2 spot, and I love his big play upside. Otherwise, my choice would have been Jalen Polk.
Yeah.
Okay. Troy Franklin went 210.
Yeah.
He's off the board. You're on the clock.
Yeah.
What are you staring down at this point? 301.
Well, see, now I've got 2 running backs already, or 2 wide receivers already. So now I got to look at a running back.
You want to diversify your draft selections, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. I typically I like to grab one of everything, kind of like sure, you do.
Yep. I do.
Hedge my bets, right?
Put them on my taxi squad. See what happens.
Yeah, and I maybe I'm liking the momentum he's getting and the all the smoke around him, but yeah, Lloyd is, to me, when I'm looking at the running backs right now. Yeah, Lloyd is the best of the next 2 or 3 running backs.
I agree, because his path to playing time is far clearer.
Yeah.
He just has to compete with Josh Jacobs. AJ Dillon's not a threat. Oh, yeah. That was interesting. Here we go. Let's talk about this. All right. You took Lloyd. I like the selection. Jalen Polk went number 2 here. That makes sense. Jalen Wright? Yeah, so Jalen Wright went 3rd, running back.
Yep.
Malachi Corley, wide receiver of the New York Jets. He's jumped up into the early 3rd.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's getting so much love right now.
I like the selection. However, I was able early on to take him in the 4th, mostly in the 4th round. This is a kid who apparently is now living with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, wow.
So Aaron Rodgers is like, you know what, kid? Come live with me. Stay at my house. I'll get you all set up.
Let's play catch all summer.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Perfect. So I think that's kind of what got this kid elevated, or at least noticed. So I've snagged him in, to me, far too many places, because he's my late round selection. He's my late 3rd, early 4th. I grab him, go on. Except he's climbed now to a point where you really got to be careful, because there's other players I would take ahead of him. And it's fantastic because the player I do want is actually sitting here at the 9th spot. And we'll talk about that in a second. The number 2 tight end, Ben Sinnott, he went in the 3rd round. That's a perfect spot. I think that's a great grab of number 5. Michael Penix went ahead of Bo Nix. Not even a starting QB at the 306.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Your favorite selection has now climbed up the draft boards, Luke McCaffrey.
Yes, he has been.
You can't get him in the 4th round anymore. He's moving up into the 3rd.
Yeah.
He's getting way too much attention. But I think this is a kid who could be a stud because he played for a smaller school because of personal choices, not because of, of elevation or experience, not experience, profile, right? He wasn't trying to elevate his profile. So this is a kid who can come in and be like, hey, I've got great pedigree. I've got a brother who can play this game. I got a dad who coached me who can play this game. And I played where I wanted to, not because of where I had to.
Yeah.
It's like,
and that's it. Everybody is saying that about him is just be patient with him. It might take him a year because he wasn't always a wide receiver.
Yeah.
He moved to that position. But be patient with him. He will be. They're saying he'll be as good as his brother.
Okay.
Is the projections.
And if that's the case, great selection in the 3rd and 4th rounds, or 5th rounds if you drafted him back then.
Early, yeah.
Yeah. Next was tight end Jatavian Sanders, which to me is the last tight end I would select, unless I'm going in the 5th round that I'm taking like Theo Johnson or something. But I like this selection here. Kid had an okay profile. He goes to Carolina where he doesn't have a lot of competition, if any, to compete with. So he has a chance of maybe getting some early playing time. So I love the pick at 308.
Yeah.
Now we're at the 309. And at the back of the 309, there's 2 guys that I've been targeting, 3 depending on how the draft shapes up. But here's my rankings of how I like to go. And Jermaine Burton is still on the board, and I love the idea. He's got a bit of an attitude, and that seemed to have pushed him down on the draft board, right? Because if you have personality issues, some teams, look negatively on that. However, Cincinnati picked him up, knowing full well T. Higgins is going to be out. We got to get a guy ready to slide into that slot. So at the 309, if I can get a guy that could
it's a steal,
that could be the number 2 for Joe Burrow, I like it.
Yep.
The other 2 guys that I would consider here is Javon Baker. Javon Baker is a wide receiver for the New England Patriots. He's drafted in the same draft as Jalen Polk, which kind of causes some conflict and confusion, but there's some really good stories about Javon Baker. So I've grabbed him in a few places. And then the other one is Jaleel McMillan, wide receiver for Tampa Bay. Now, I'm a Trey Palmer guy still. I think Trey Palmer was drafted and has some talent and opportunity, but because he's still sitting behind Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, he's not going to get that shot, just like Jaleel McMillan. So whatever one of these guys I take, it's going to be a sit and hold. Put him on my taxi squad, wait a year, see what happens, right? I'm not looking for anything out of these guys this year. I'm just looking and holding.
Yeah.
Because he's here, I'm going Jermaine Burton. No questions asked. Then Bo Nix goes at the end of the 3rd round.
Dang it.
You were hoping, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I wanted the starter, right?
Yeah.
Again, not having it, knowing what my team might or might not have behind me.
Right.
Let me just take a look here.
Yeah, there's no QBs that I would throw a pick at anymore. Tight end, there's only one tight end I draft between now and the end of the 5th. Wow. Running backs, there's actually a few running backs I wouldn't mind putting on my roster. There's some kids here that seem to be extremely interesting.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I'm looking at a running back, a second running back. And this kid might do some damage. He's a capable wide receiver. So I'm going to grab a guy that might just sit on my bench for a year, but then maybe take over. Boom.
Oh, interesting. Oh, look at the run. Look what you started.
Yes.
Ah. Okay.
The running back you wanted went Shipley.
Yeah, well, I was hoping a couple guys might have snaked their way back, but it didn't happen. Okay, so let's talk about your. You picked Vidal for the
Yeah,
chart.
because he's got good hands,
Yeah,
so he could be that third down back.
sure.
And I'm thinking maybe not this year, but maybe next year he can climb the actual depth chart um, uh, for the Chargers because they always, always, always like you look at Edwards and Dobbs. Those guys have had injury problems in the past.
Okay.
So this kid could climb if there's injuries, and again, having good hands coming out of the backfield can help him out on third down, so he gets some yardage, and if he can break off some runs from a pass, that might curry him some favor with the coaches and move him up the
Okay.
depth chart a bit. It's more of a stash for now.
Okay. It's a speculative ad because we're in the 4th round, man.
Yeah,
You're not expecting much.
I'm
Like
not
you're
expecting 20 points a game from him. No.
no, you're taking a shot and seeing what he can deliver to you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about what went next. Bucky Irving. That would have been my selection. I think this
Okay.
guy is probably going to take the number 2 spot right away. And in case of injury, I love holding my handcuffs.
Yeah.
This is a
So
guy who.
you're hoping White. You have White, and he's the handcuff to White.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So that's what in this case, that is what I'd be targeting here. Late 3rd, 4th round, I would be targeting players, running backs to ones I own. I want the handcuff to the guy I own. And
Sure.
great options for that. I could see if I could find him here. We'll go. Ray Davis is sitting here on the clock.
Yeah.
Isaac Guernardo is sitting here. Tyron Tracy for the New York Giants. Dylan Lobb for the Las Vegas Raiders. Those are interesting. Rasheem Ali for the Baltimore Ravens. Those are guys that I would be interested in because of their handcuff status.
Yeah. The other guy and I know you're not big on the guy,
Mm-hmm.
but I think he's probably going to take the number 2 spot and would be a good handcuff. I think it's Frank Gore.
Really, you think Frank Gore will take the handcuff job over, say, Ray Davis?
I think so.
So Ray Davis was drafted in the 4th round, pick 128. Frank Gore went undrafted.
Yeah. But I think all the videos that I've watched on Frank Gore, he's got the vision and the power of his dad.
Okay.
I think he's going to surprise some people. And again, it's that pedigree that I'm looking at. Right? You think of Frank Gore, he was never a crazy superstar. But the guy ended up in the top 5 running backs of all time for yardage, but he played forever. So again, a longevity type thing.
Right.
So that's where, like, I noticed in the last draft we did, he didn't get drafted.
No.
But so I think he's going to go. I think he went to a smaller school, Southern Mississippi. Like Luke McCaffrey. Did he get overlooked because he played for a small team?
It's possible, right? And this is why we take these guys these late rounds. Because you're shooting a shot, you're making a choice, and then some of these guys you might be able to pick up and add to your roster. Yeah, because you might have some dead weight you're willing to dump. Do you want to make some room? So those are all possibilities. So I'm sitting here 409, and I got to make a choice. One thing I like to do as often as possible is take guys that I can put on my taxi squad and hold. Now, I don't have a running back. None of these guys are overly sexy to me. And looking at the ADP of how this is going to go, I don't think Yeah, I think one of the guys I want is going to be there for me in the 5th round. So I'm going to take a guy I know that won't be there, and that's going to be Theo Johnson.
Okay.
Like,
That's who I was looking at.
yeah, I figured you'd probably grab him, but you didn't because it would get sniped at Team 10. So I'm going to grab Theo Johnson because I had 3 wide receivers already. I wanted to start
Yeah.
diversifying what I'm getting on my team. So I took Theo Johnson here. He is my first tight end. He's the last one I would select out of any one of these guys in a
Yeah.
and just because there's really no challenge, there's nobody on the depth. Daniel Bellinger, not really doing it for me. So this guy might have a chance to watch out.
Yeah.
After me, Brendan Rice, who used to be going undrafted, is now climbing up. He's in the 4th round now, so his
Yeah.
popularity is rising. Which puts you in a bit of a bind because I'm pretty sure you would have taken him had you had your chance at 501.
Well, no, yeah. um,
So you've got 2 running backs, you've got 2 wide receivers. What are you thinking? Are you going to try and go tight end? Are you looking at maybe grabbing one of
I
these running backs here?
I don't like any of the tight ends that are left.
Nope.
Um, um, I think I'm gonna reach because
Oh, okay.
well, it's not
How
really a
far?
reach. It's not really a reach. I shouldn't really
Okay.
say that. Um, um, this kid played both wide receiver and running back in college.
Okay.
Um, so he could be versatile to this team. I don't really know how they're going to how they plan to use him. Um, he's a smaller guy for a wide receiver, only 5'9", 176. But I think they're currently slotting him in as the number 3 wide receiver on this team. Tough
Really?
for him to get any higher. But it's my pick is going to be Ananias Smith.
Ananias Smith?
Yep, for Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Okay. Oh, come on. No, don't you dare. Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Oh, egg nabbit.
You were looking at that Lube?
I was.
Yeah, he's getting some hype.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so here's what happened. You took Ananias Smith, wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. Then went Isaac Guarnero,
Yep.
running back for the San Francisco 49ers. Then we had Ray Davis for the running back for the Buffalo Bills. Then Tyron Tracy for the New York Giants. He was on my list. I would have taken. Frank Gore, running back for Buffalo, and then Eric All, tight end for Cincinnati, and then Jay Willie. Who's Jay Willie? Show player card. Jared Willie's tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs.
At
Cool.
TCU.
So he's got to compete with Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Irv Smith. Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm happy that selection occurred because it didn't really impact me. However, the last running back on this list that I would have liked to have grabbed is this kid here, and that's Dylan Lobb, 5'10", 208, out of New Hampshire. I just like that he's sitting behind Samir White, and he has no real competition. Nobody on this roster, Alexander Madison, Amir Abdullah, these are not guys that are,
No.
yeah, like you don't have to be worried about these individuals. So I think I like to grab this kid in the late round, see what happens, hope for the best. However, he's gone. So now I got to make a
Yeah.
different choice. Malik Washington is kind of an interesting selection from wide receiver. So let's
Is
have a
he
look here.
slotted in the 3rd spot?
Well, he's sitting behind Tyreek Hill in the wide receiver 1. So Odell's got the 3rd spot locked up, but that's old man Odell.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you can really expect to get out of him. So I don't know. In this case, it could be worth stash and hold. However, I'd like to bring your attention to 2 people. I don't like grabbing wide receivers this late, and here's why. Those are definite long-term holds. If you grab a wide receiver, you're putting him on your roster, your taxi squad, and you're waiting because it's going to take time for someone this far down to make a splash, right? So when you drafted Donovan Peoples-Jones a few years ago, you drafted him in the 5th round. He made some headway over there in Cleveland. Okay, cool. So maybe you hang on to him for a little bit. But if you draft a running back here, you're going to know within year 1, at minimum, if something's going to happen for this kid. And if not, you know that you can move on. You don't have to worry about that roster spot. You just dump and go.
Yeah, I think tight ends are the same thing. Like you look at Eric All. He's being touted as a blocking back, not a receiving back. So you're going to know year 1 whether he can catch the ball or he can't.
Not. Yeah. In this case, we know tight ends take a few years anyways. So if you're drafting like I did with Theo Johnson, that's a guy who's going to sit in my taxi squad and might just take up another roster on my on the back of my bench because we're 30 players deep in our dynasty league. And he's probably just going to sit there and ride the pine for a little while until he shows me something. By year 3, he's probably gone or he's relevant. So. So here we are. Now I'm looking at 2 guys, and it's going to be Rasheen Ali. So I'm just going to add him to my queue. And the other one is Luis Reese-Zammit. Now, for the most part, I've been able to get Luis Reese-Zammit off the waiver wire after the draft, except now you guys all know that I've been trying to sneak this guy. And some of you buggers have been taking him earlier with your sneaky picks ahead of me. You dirty rascals. So this is that Australian kid, I think it's our New Zealand kid that played rugby. That given the changes to the kick return rule, this is a kid who might be very good in leagues where you allow kick return yards.
Yeah.
So poor man, not a league that does that, but no fun league. Yeah, this is a kid who might be able to play well. The other kid I want to bring up is Rasheen Ali. Right now, they've got Derrick Henry, Keaton Mitchell, Justice Hill, and some dead weight. Keaton Mitchell's the only other running back that's on that roster of any note. He was okay last year at 5'8", 191. He's not really a direct replacement for Derrick Henry. And you got that beast out there running, Keaton Mitchell's not a direct replacement. Neither is Rasheen Ali, 5'11", 197. They're kind of like but somebody's got to be the back.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm going. I'm going Rasheen Ali, taking a shot. He could slide in to take the number 2 spot behind Derrick Henry and forever cement himself as a solid bench warmer.
Well, you're right. One of the 2 of those guys is going to have to back up Henry.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. If they're wanting Henry as their in the red zone running back, maybe Ali is the between the 20s guy. So you keep Henry fresh. So maybe it's a running back committee and to keep Henry fresh for long term on the season. And this Ali guy might not get you touchdowns, but might get you yards.
Maybe, yeah. I'd be willing to take a risk on him. Hence the selection. That's my thought process.
Yep.
Now we've made it through 5 rounds. We don't have a rookie draft that goes beyond 5 rounds.
No.
So this is where I'd like to put a pin in it. But there are some interesting names that have popped up out there that guys might decide to go out and pick up, especially, we trade a lot, right? There's a lot of activity. Not everybody has five rookie picks. So they're going to need to go to the waiver wire to pick up some dudes to put on to fill out their taxi squad. Because we do run 5 players on our taxi squad. Some guys have 8 or more rookie picks. And now that they've overdrafted and they got to dump some of the guys they selected back out to the waivers. They got to cut bait.
Yeah.
So it's always
you're either cutting a 1 or 2 year guy or an old guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's I've noticed today in particular, in some of the leagues, there's been a lot of guys that have been just dumping dudes from their roster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I typically like to, and I know I've dumped a few guys in a few of the leagues,
Yeah.
but not a lot. I like to typically wait until camp has started. What was that?
Oh, you heard that?
Tool. Yeah.
Dang, I didn't realize that was still broadcast. Okay, so that was me ending the draft.
Okay. I typically like to wait till camp is actually in full swing and see where guys are panning out or not.
Okay.
Before I like to start dropping guys, right? Like, say I had Odell Beckham Jr. and right now he's slotted as the number 3 guy, but come the end of camp, he might be the number 4. So I might want to cut him then instead of cutting him now.
You'll wait until and then
Yeah,
see
yeah,
if he's like, hey, look, are you going to be a roster guy? Are you going to get playing time? How are you working in?
exactly. Why pull the trigger on the guy right now when our rosters are expanded?
Yeah, in this case, there's no rush. Except
unless you're already over the limit.
No, you could stay over. That's the thing. I'm over the limit in a couple leagues.
But then you can't go out and get anybody off the waiver wires if something good pops up.
That's the downside.
Yeah.
So I guess if take this as a hint, guys. If you watch me between now and the rest of summer dump a bunch of dudes off of my bench, I'm going for somebody
on the waivers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always try to keep myself right at the limit or even one under in case something does pop up on the waiver wire.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I just know that I have a hard time making decisions. And oddly enough, Odell Beckham is one of those dudes that are currently sitting on my roster. I'm like, ugh. I guess when push comes to shove, I'm probably going to dump you because no one wants to trade for you. Yeah. But I don't want to do it until the last possible second.
Kareem Hunt is my Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, you're okay. You're hanging on to Kareem Hunt, waiting for that sign because somebody's going to get hurt. He's going to get signed, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the fool who had him, dropped him, and then somebody picked him up and he's getting 15 points a game.
Yeah, and then you know what? Our award show we do at the end of the season, Josh comes on the show and he's like, "Hey, you want to see some silly dumps? Let's have a look at this one." Andrew dumped, Kareem Hunt just before the season started, and this guy picked him up, and guess who was a league winner? Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what, folks? We're going to keep this one short. Even though it does feel kind of long, it was fun to do. I enjoyed drafting with you, Andrew, talking about some of our selections, because now we're not giving away any secrets. We've already finished our draft. We know exactly where we're at going into next year. All right. Well, that's it for this week's scheduled program. Next week, we go into the no man's land, and Andrew and I don't have anything scheduled. We're just going to shoot from the hip. We're just going to talk about like random stuff, probably conspiracy theories. Maybe we'll delve into some stuff to bring up from the shows we watch. Who knows?
Or maybe some sports movies.
Yeah, maybe that's we'll fill in the void. We'll watch some sports movies.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what?
It'll be like when you're in elementary and it was a raining day and they don't let you go for recess. They just automatically play a movie for you.
Okay. It's PD day for my son and my daughter. So Monday was a holiday. Tuesday, Wednesday, PD day, school back tomorrow. So it's movies in the afternoon from both of my kids when they go to daycare, right? So in this case, Benson's watching a movie. And I was like, okay, cool. And I'm just thinking about that experience. To them, watching a movie at school or at daycare is like an everyday thing almost. Like it happens a lot. I remember when we did it, we watched it on old like film. So like reel to reel, right? You get the old projector out and you'd go from reel to reel. I'm like, man, this is brutal. And then we got the TV on the cart with the giant VHS machine that was like 300 pounds. So no one would steal it. And the movies were okay, but they weren't like A-list movies. They weren't like Jurassic Park or anything cool. They were like a Shakespearean
educational.
It's Romeo and Juliet, but not like the cool movie theater Romeo and Juliet. So I envy kids today because they're watching like good movies.
But here's the thing though. I look at my daughter's school stuff. I don't ever remember not going out for recess during winter.
Yeah, it's cold. You go outside.
Yeah. You bundle
Now
up.
it's like, oh, hey, it's -5. Sorry, you got to stay inside, kid. It's too cold for you. It's like, what do you mean it's too cold for them? It's like, I didn't buy them all this stuff and get them dressed up for this to like sit inside.
And I almost wonder if it's more the teachers saying, I don't want to go outside either.
Sure, they don't want to chaperone.
Like we didn't, and again, in elementary and junior high, we didn't have teachers go out at recess with us.
No, well, we didn't have recess in junior high.
Well,
I
lunch
was
break.
Devastated. Yeah, I was devastated when recess ended. And I was like, wait a second. I'm in grade 7. I don't get recess anymore? What? Yeah, just crushed. It's like, what do you mean? I have to run to my next class because it's not in the same room?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. What do you want from me? Yeah, it's tough. and now kids are, it's different. It's different. We're old now.
Yes, very much.
But that's okay. We're going to make the most of life. And by doing that, we're going to talk about football, which is why we get together. We do this. We play fantasy football, right? We find those little joys, right? We pull those in and we milk them for all the enjoyment that they can give us.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all just nerds living in our parents' basement.
Okay. I take exception to that because I'm in my basement right now, and I own this house. I don't live with my parents.
There you go.
I am in my basement. I am in my basement.
You're in your office.
That's right. I'm in my play space. You can't see it now, but we're going through some rentals down here. On the other side of this is a brand new TV and like viewing area where the workout space is. And by the end of summer, I will have cleaned out a good chunk of this and hopefully torn out a bunch of the steel stud catastrophe that was put into this basement when before we moved in, and actually start framing in my basement for future use.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, very excited. Well, that's it, folks. We're gonna end this one tonight. We're gonna go home, go to bed, have a good night's sleep because we're already here. Right? That's the best part about podcasting. You don't have to. It's like I don't know, hang up, go upstairs, go to bed. Yep. So again, like I said before, next week coming back, it's just gonna be for the its and giggles of it all, people. We don't have a plan, and that's sometimes where you get some of the best stuff. Is you just let it happen. So from one poor man to another, remember, if it's not fun, it is not worth doing. Good night, everybody.
Have a great week, everybody.